We're not yet 2 weeks past the final round of the 2022 AMA racing season, and there is already some pretty big silly season drama. Yesterday on James Stewart's Bubba's World podcast, two-time Lucas Oil Pro Motocross champion Ken Roczen explained that he is now a free agent after an offer he had on the table to continue racing for Honda HRC was pulled off the table. American Honda responded to Roczen's claims this morning by explaining that Roczen actually had declined the contract, and now we have quite an interesting situation. This whole thing started when James Stewart dropped a bit of a surprise episode of his Bubba's World podcast where he sat down for an hour with Ken Roczen to talk about this situation. Roczen went right into detail from the start about his position within Honda. This last week, it's a funky feeling, but basically I'm a free agent at this point, which is kind of crazy. I've never been in that position. But it was ultimately these races that I committed to, these overseas races, and it's not 3 anymore, it's 2. I haven't raced over in Europe in a long time, I've never been to Australia. For me, the decision to race those races was fairly easy. Especially this late in my career, it was the right time. It's just been way too long, and since this isn't a full series yet, I had the opportunity to make that deal. Which was a shocker to me. Honda decided to pull the offer that they gave me a week or a couple weeks ago, which by the way was a great offer. I mean, if I wanted to go after the money, then that would have been the smart thing to do. But I have committed to these races, and I just didn't feel comfortable at all to leave the fans hanging. Roczen was due to become a free agent anyway, if nothing was signed for 2023, as his 3-year contract extension with Honda that he signed in the middle of 2019 was set to expire on September 30th of this year. The 28-year-old German committed to racing the inaugural season of the FIM World Supercross Championship months ago. This was despite Honda HRC not committing to the 10-team program laid out by World Supercross, which will allow those 10 teams to field riders who will be competing for the championship. That did not include the possibility of wildcard riders making one-off races, like Eli Tomac will at the opening round British Grand Prix on October 8th. Because of that, Roczen would have to ride for one of the 10 teams for the whole championship, which he had committed to. As Roczen went on to explain, he allegedly spoke with Honda HRC about this situation beforehand. Unfortunately, I made this deal that I had with World Supercross months and months ago. I was in a contract, yes, with Honda, but we had mutual agreement that, hey, we're not a big fan of this, but for this year it's a startup and things like that, that they were going to be okay with it. So we didn't worry about anything. And at that point when we made this deal, I didn't even have an offer yet or anything for next year. Roczen would further explain in his interview with James Stewart that the offer Honda HRC was putting forth was just for Monster Energy AMA Supercross in 2023. The team is expected to move 2-time 250 class Pro Motocross champion Jet Lawrence to the 450 class for Pro Motocross in 2023, and thus will have 2 riders next summer already in Chase Sexton and Jet Lawrence. But the seat was still available for Supercross, and Roczen said that it was Honda who pulled the contract off the table. On Friday morning, American Honda manager of sports and experimental Brandon Wilson put forth a statement responding to Roczen's claims. We genuinely enjoy working with Ken and have loved having him on our team for the past 6 years. We have a ton of respect for the speed and talent he regularly demonstrates on the track, and even more so for the heart and dedication he has shown in returning from severe setbacks. In light of recent comments, we felt the need to clarify a couple of points. We were looking forward to continuing with Ken in 2023, and we recently made him an offer of a contract extension. That offer has never been rescinded, but it was declined by Ken and his team. It's true that the offer included a stipulation that Ken not compete in a series that has positioned itself as a direct competitor to our Supercross and Motocross racing partners. We feel it's important to support our racing partners and to treat all of our riders the same. That said, our esteem and appreciation for Ken are as strong as ever, and they won't be altered by the fact that our priorities don't appear to align on this issue. As you can see, Honda has a different view of the situation as they explained that Roczen has declined the contract offer. But they also did confirm Roczen's suggestion that he would not have been allowed to continue forward with racing World Supercross if he were to accept the contract for 2023. So it appears that the key difference is Roczen saying they pulled the contract versus Honda saying Roczen declined it. Either way, Roczen was and is still racing World Supercross. The immediate fallout from this is the end of Roczen's 6-year tenure with American Honda, the brand for which he has ridden for the longest in his career. Though he never did win a championship for Honda, he was arguably the face of their brand for half a decade and garnered many wins for the team. It's a sour end to what seemed to be a strong relationship over the years. For Honda, they now have a vacant 450 Supercross seat alongside Chase Sexton. Names will of course be thrown around right away, but there doesn't appear to be an immediate answer for Honda, who had actively been trying to retain Roczen until very recently. It does seem to draw a clear line in the sand for where American Honda are in their thoughts of World Supercross. Wilson himself said that they view it as a direct competitor to their current AMA Motocross and Supercross racing partners, and the general feeling in the paddock is that many of the factory teams have a similar view. Roczen will continue preparing for World Supercross, which begins on October 8th in Wales and ends on October 22nd in Australia, though what team he will ride for has still not been announced. Where he goes from there is anyone's guess. His current deal with Fox is up and has allegedly not been signed for 2023 yet, but he is still under contract with Red Bull. That tie-in could limit his options for a ride in 2023, but there is still time for things to change or even iron out moving forward. Either way, Roczen has explained he wishes to race both Monster Energy AMA Supercross and Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross in 2023, so it's only a matter of time before his future puzzle starts to come together. That's all for this edition of RacerX Rapid News presented by Fly Racing. Be sure to visit racerxonline.com for all your motocross and supercross news.